Well, I'm saying then, aren't I? How does the Jesus story affect you? Or by keeping company with it? Of course. It's not so much in the formal teaching as you see it. It's in getting to know the persona of the story, the spirit. And of course, what you are noticing, accepting and rejecting is to do with what your values are already and how they're confronted with the values of the story. As you see it, which of course is much determined by what your values are already. So you might feel drawn to the story or repelled. If you choose to hang with it, so to speak, to stay with it, then it will increasingly affect you. It's not in the formal teaching, but in your experience of being with the person as you see it presented of, in this case, Jesus. Or perhaps not. Perhaps you see it as presenting to you not the story of Jesus, but something of the character of God. In particular, of course, your God. And there's certain values that you seem to see that are in fact your values. I mean, quite simply, you come to know God. It's your God. And how your values, pan out in your life, the experience of such consequence will change your values. You have a realizing relationship with your God. And like all relationships, it changes through time. I think I want to say you may start with Jesus and end with God. And it won't be the writer's view of God. It's your view of God. And it's very personal indeed. It's not as the writer thought and intended. Now, of course, it's not just one writer. We are looking too at supposed different persons, not just Jesus. You may know that the Christian church is much constructed by Pauline teaching. And perhaps James and, goodness, perhaps Moses. Or Hezekiah's view of Moses. Or Daniel even. Or John's revelation, which in character doesn't seem anything like John's Gospel. But whether it's the same John or not is not relevant. The point is you are exposing yourself to all of these in as far as you do expose yourself to the whole of the Bible canon, for instance. And not only that, of course, but you're probably exposing yourself in that case to the persons of your closer church and any other teachings you may come across. Jesus' view is that you're to see no man as teacher. Your devotion is to God, your heavenly Dad. And if this strikes a note with you, then it becomes, in the sense of the story, fundamental to you. No amount of talk of Trinity or even Holy Spirit will take priority over this. Or love the Lord thy God, the Lord thy God, with all thy heart, soul, mind and strength. You're utterly devoted. God does not teach you in the sense of speaking to you, literally in words, except in quite extraordinary perceived circumstances, the which you may remember all your life, of course. It's so outstanding. You see, the effect of our parents is not on what they talk about and what they do, but what they are to you. And ideally, we understand it to be the loving relationship. And you grow up according to the care and protection and provision and hopefully the loving kindness. So it is with God. He's not spending all day telling you your faults, instructing you, giving you rules and direction, but embracing you in the circumstances that he allows to come near you. We trust, because he loves you and is all-powerful. In other words, it's like homeschooling. I don't teach you from the front of a classroom. I don't even sit with you. But we go out for the day. And we come home at the end of the day and continue to abide. So we draw near to God, ever present. You may say, but only in our mind. It's only our mind that experiences the presence of anything. When I choose to think of God, I'm choosing to think of his company, and I'm transformed by such. True, it is the view that I have of his company, which is according to my values. How could it be anything else? This is what I value. And of course, ideally, I trust him to be nurturing me accordingly. Hence the fundamental rock of the Jesus story, which is that God is our Heavenly Dad. Loving, perfect, wonderful, wonderfully wonderful. I was going to say Dad again, but I think I'm going to say friend. Closest, dearest, wonderful friend. Everything to us. And yes, you're right, I don't just mean Dad, I mean Mum as well. I mean both, in fact I mean neither, I mean dearest friend. But that is my view, of course. I think it's largely because of the Jesus story. But I don't know. It may be because somehow these are the values that I have. And that will be because, as I understand it, of his loving care for us to date. So I understand the Jesus story in this way. I focus majorly, and you may think far too majorly, on the gospel Jesus story, and in fact John's at that, and in fact even more narrowly John 17. But that may just be because of the values that I understand or think that I have. I don't know. I only trust. And if I find that trust brings joy and peace and hope and rescue and love and kindness, blessing, or goodness, then I continue in my path by the grace of God, our Heavenly Dad. And so do you. Thank you, Heavenly Dad.